So today's topic is the circles of hell, and what I mean by that is like different circles will affect you in a different ways, making you to some degree being under some concept that combines all the individuals, right? So to some degree, depending on how close is the circle, because you have different circles, right, that you're tied into, and different circles, I would say the closer the circle, the more it affects you. And for example, as an example, different circles can be will go from within without. So for us it will be your individual, everything that comes with it, like for example safety, shelter, motivations, passions, your interests, I don't know. Then you will have relationships, maybe your family, people who are your friends, close friends, then your associates. Then you have different kind of wide like circles that continue to go. For example, the stuff like you being in the same household, you're being from the same district, you being in the same country. And I mean, like, for example, even the aspect that they say that your home, right, and individuality, yourself, your ego, is also has different representations of it. So for example, where you have a house, then you have like a family circle. After the family circle, you have maybe a city circle, or like let's say if you are into sports, you have your team, right? And it's like this aspect already puts, depending on how close the circle is to you, right? So for example, let's say you might be living with a person in the same country, but you're voting for different teams, you're celebrating different football teams, right? That's already kind of makes you separated, and already puts you separately, separates you based on the stuff that your interest, right? And why circles of hell are important to some degree, because otherwise it's hard to put different individuals who are completely different, because you have people who are, I don't know, have different interests, right? You have people, I mean, like you as an individual, right? You will not just connect with a person just based on some aspect, and it's like you will be like the closer it hits home, the more you'll be connected to that person. So for example, let's say, okay, first your individuality, then the passions, everything that surrounds that individuality. So for example, even you are being into sports, you're being into basketball, you already will have more topics to talk about, more interests to cover than the person who's also has the same interests that you have, than the person who will have different interests, right? And you have like this different circles that kind of ties you with, change you up with different people. And it's like this aspect is very important for the ruler of I don't know, let's say of some circle, for him to control all the individuals in that circle, right? So you have different individuals, right, coming together. You have I don't know, you have mathematicians, you have physicians, you have doctors, you have politicians, you have people who are into literature, you have people who are into playing games, and it's like you have people who will listen to different types of music, and it's like how you can connect them all, right? Them all to be a part of one thing and invest into it, building that let's say circle which they are being connected with. And it's like that's why you have different types of circles. And it's like, for example, where it's hard for ones to connect, you can connect them in such a way that it will make them connected, and they'll be all invested into the same thing. So for example, to some degree, I would say even you being a fan of a football team, right, and you have different people who are being fans of the same football team, like they have different type of lives, they have different type of interests, they have different type of stuff that they're watching on the TV, different channels, different music that they listen to, but this aspect that their team is playing today and their team won, they are being connected all together, and they all celebrate this concept, you know, because otherwise they will not come together, because they would, for example, you have all these people meeting in the same bar, right? Where you drink, they all meet in the same bar, and it's already they kind of are being closer to each other. They are already like as a family, because they I forgot the word of that. They celebrate the same team, you know. So with that saying, because even like you know, even the concept of having nations, having all this culture that surrounds nations, motivations, different holidays, different history moments, historical moments, all those things will affect all the people who live in the same country. But if you'll go outside, you'll just see there's like so much different people that there's no way that they would even connect to each other, you know. It's like, okay, you have, let's say you have a football player, you have a football player, you have I don't know, a rapper, you have a person who draws, you have a person who's into reading books, you have a person who's into science, and it's like, if they will go outside, they're not connected. The only way they will be connected if they will have the same experience, or they will have the same interest that they have, for them to even stop for a moment and even talk to each other, or even consider someone's opinion, to take it in, and even to speak to that person to some degree. And it's like, that's why you need to have the circles of hell, which ties them all together, ties all the different fires, ties all the different individuals together, for them to participate in some way. So for example, you have a scientist, then you have a mathematician, which will never connect. Okay, you have a scientist and you have a rapper, who will never connect. I mean, like, depending on the person too, right? But like, probably they will not connect, because they have different interests, and they have different kind of routines in the day that they do. For example, a scientist, he will wake up, he will drink a coffee, he will go read some books, he will do some studies. And for example, then you have a rapper, he will wake up, he will also drink the same coffee. Already makes them kind of be in the same circle of hell, one of the circles of hell, which is like to some degree desire. And in this case, the desire is to drink coffee, because he drank coffee in the morning and he drank coffee in the morning. It's already, to some degree, they can even come together and talk about coffee, right? But it will not affect as close as, because this aspect of drinking coffee is not something very heavy, which, yeah, they can talk about it, but still this talk can lead like 5 minutes, you know. And for example, the heavier is the closer, I would say, rather, the more it hits home, the more connected the people will get. So yeah, so you have this rapper, he also drank a cup of coffee, but then he has completely different type of routine than the scientist. So for example, the rapper will go, he'll make a beat, he'll make a rap song, and for example, for one, let's say for a scientist, rap is something like you're being invested into rap. And for the other guy, it will be like, bro, I like science, what the fuck, you can read books and that's it, but like, this is more about passion type shit like that, you know. So but the fact that they that the scientist and the rapper are coming from the same country, it already makes them be on the same level. So for example, when something will happen to the country, that scientist and that rapper, they will meet together and go on a riot or like on a protest, or they will go together and go protect that type of country, because it affects them, it affects their individuality to some degree, because you have individuality which is in the middle, right, you, and then you have different circles that go further and further, and the closer it is, the more it affects that shit. So let's say even the concept of people being in the same country, right? So you have people being in the same country, but this circle of hell, which is the country, is not as close, let's say, as the family circle. So for example, even people being in the same country and voting for the same country and standing for the same country, standing for the same flag and stuff like that, being patriots of their country, they will still hate each other when it will come to their families. So for example, when, let's say, that scientist will say something bad about the family, disrespect the family of the rapper, even though they're being tied with the circle, in the chains of nation, they will still hate each other because other circle of hell was affected. The other circle of hell was disrespected, which is the family in this case, and which is hits more closer, right? So now, even within the country, who kind of stand for the same, let's say, values, they will still you will have separations, because the values of one family will not have the same values as the other family, right? And this, like, those little aspects, like, in general, it's like how you can combine all the different individuals that you have in one spot all together, so they will to some degree build some type of something in some type of way, because like yeah, of course you can flex with your money and stuff like that. They will be willing to do that, but it's like there's also sometimes maybe there's like different ways how you can do that, right? You have money, which is also a circle of hell. You have religion, which is a circle of hell, which puts different people even like worldwide. So now you have different nations, which is like, let's say, different families hating each other, but them being all under the same religious concept. Let's say they are all Christians, and even though they will hate each other, they are still being tied up together under the same concept. So it's like so it's like, I mean, like, it's kind of funny, right? It's like they'll hate each other, but on the other side they will build with each other. So I mean, like, people are just hella lost and they don't know what the fuck is up. I mean, like, of course, family, yeah. Even you being in the family, you still sometimes will have separations with your family members because they're into different stuff, right? Let's say you have this, as a teenager, for example, you have different type of goals that you want to go towards, and then you have, let's say, your parents, who are your family members, and like the people who are hella close to you, but to some degree they're still affecting your closer circle of hell, which is your individuality, your ego, right? So in this case you will have separation with that, and it's like yeah, so you have different kind of circles of hell, different concepts, where in some circle people will hate each other, in the other one they will come together, and third one they will be separated by each other again. So like, let's say, I'll just go with examples. So we started with like family, right? Then you have a family, then you have a city, then you have country, a nation, then you have maybe a religion, then you have a concept like I don't know, yeah, you have a religion, then you have we are all on the same earth, right? So now it's like a different type of circle, which will even combine Muslims and Christians together, because like we all live on the same circle type shit like that, right? So in the places where they will fight, you can find different like let's say different motivations for them to come together, right? So in this case it will be earth. We are all on the same earth. So for example, if we have a lot of plastic all around us, if we have air pollution, if we have something that destroys our planet, even Muslims and Christians will come together. So it's like that's why you need different circles of hell which will connect different people. And it's like there's like so much circles of hell that I think to even the furthest one, I cannot even explain which maybe hits home more. I think for each person it's differently, right? So you cannot have, for some people maybe even their career or their football team will be way closer than the circle of their family, right? But in the end effect it's still individuality, and it's like your individual which circle it connects to more, that circle will have the more effect on him. So yeah, so it's like it's a very smart game. It's a very smart game that you will have, if you want, you will have people fighting each other. If you want, you will have people coming together, right? So it's like a very, very powerful magic tricks that somebody on top of everything uses, right? For example, in this case, yeah, I will even say one of the examples, like there is a country like where I was born in, right? So for example, something happened to that country and it made all people to come together because it was affecting the country and it was affecting the circle of nation, right? But within that you still have different separations where you have, of course, families, right? Families, and for example, even though all the people in that nation are going towards protecting the nation, still in the waiting line for bread they will fight because they have to protect their family, right, to some degree. So in case if they will not say a word in this situation of standing in the waiting line for bread, they will not express themselves, they may even lose the opportunity of them getting that bread and coming home with like empty hands, which will make their family suffer to some degree, right? So this kind of aspect, this circle affects more them. So now you have like a circle, then you have different separations in that circle, and like in different circles, and those different circles you have also them separating into different circles. That's low-key how also our body works, right? So if, for example, you have a organ, then that organ separates into let's say different cells, and those little cells are separating into different thingies. And the same thing you have also above in the space, where you have a galaxy, then you have planets, then you have people on that planet, then you have a person's ecosystem inside of him and stuff like that, and it goes deeper and deeper, right? So it's like to some degree you will find it everywhere, and different concepts just ties up different people together. And it's like as I mentioned it before, even people living in the same country will root for different football teams, which will make them fight with each other, right? So here you also have different gangs. For example, you have Afro-Americans, or like poor people, right? Let's say poor people who are in the same kind of circle, which is poorness, right? They are all poor, and to some degree they can come together on this aspect and say like, what the fuck, why we are poor, and we have to express ourselves and tell that our family, which is this circle, is not satisfied with the conditions that we are being in. But even them you have being separated, so now they're separating into different blocks, into different districts, into different streets, into different colors, into different gang signs, into different names, and they're fighting and killing each other because this kind of aspect of being in one gang is closer than the aspect of them all being poor together, right? Because this gang aspect is more kind of family-like, and it hits more home. yeah, so it's like it's a pretty smart game. So I would say, of course, I mean, like, in this case, like, we are so rooted into that it's hard maybe not to be affected, but just peep the bullshit that is being like thrown out like that for different circles just to clash with each other. And for example, for different circles to clash with each other, and just peep that shit and be like, yeah, my interests are my interests, and like some of the interests you have to dive deep into and be like, are those my interests because those are my interests, or those are my interests because to some degree I was kind of cultured, I was evolving in that circle, and that's why this circle affects me in some way. Because, for example, I would say, yeah, a nation, yeah, that you all live in the same country, alright, to some degree, yeah, you have to build that country, but is the person who you will build that country with will stand with you till the end, or when he will see some money, some more energy, some more let's say some more gold, some more money going into this circle which will be more closer to him, will he change on you? Because you can be a scientist, but some alcoholic who is also from the same nation as you will be like, yeah, bro, what the fuck, you're not doing shit, blah 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 blah. But you're like, what the fuck, why should I do shit? Like, bro, you ain't shit. Like, all you do is just wake up, drink, watch football, get mad, go outside. I know you don't even have a life. You don't even have like something that I can even talk with you about. Like, why the fuck do I even have to connect with you? And that's why you have different circles of hell which are connecting miserable people and successful people, and people who have life, people who don't have life, people who are bored, people who are actually investing themselves into something bigger. And now you have a bigger circle putting them all together on the same level. Now you will have different people who will never connect with each other, fighting for the same cause. And it's like, still, in the end effect, they will still separate when that circle that they were fighting for, that issue will settle down, they will get separated. But yeah, you can also go deeper to the fact that, for example, even the person who is an alcoholic and the person, let's say, who is a scientist, educated scientist, they went through the same experience. Even that's also like maybe more about experiences too. That you have a scientist and a dummy, an alcoholic who is a dummy. If those two people went through a lot of experience, and depending on the experience, if the experience was actually affecting them a lot, that's how maybe you will have different people with different personalities being still friends. That usually happens, let's say, in schools, that usually happens in like military thematic, that happens a lot in like sport thematics, more about like interests too, right? Or like, for example, in people living in the same building, that's also to some degree will connect them. Because, for example, let's say in another district, the country was like, yeah, let's build the road there, let's renovate the road, make it more beautiful, let's make the district more beautiful with trees and stuff like that, but we'll forget about this district that stands there, right? And people in that district, the district that was forgotten, they will come together and be like, what the fuck, we also live here, like, can you please also to some degree pay attention to our district? You see, like our trash bins are not being emptied already like the second week, everything stinks, kids cannot run around because junkies are fucking chilling here and shit like that, so it's like yeah. So you have like different, I know, maybe I'm going around and again, but to some degree I'll find some new point to talk about. And it's like so yeah, you have different circles of hell, and different circles of hell will tie together, put on the same level different people. And there's also like different aspects that play in that circles of hell which make people in that circle not just to forget about that circle, but actually participate into it. So for example, that's why you have football clubs maybe playing different games with different teams, you know, and you have different football fans coming and fighting with each other and hating each other. Then you have politicians voting and stuff like that. And then in fact I don't actually see the difference of that shit. Maybe it plays a role, maybe it doesn't play a role, but I don't actually see the difference. But even in this case of voting, you will have a different person, like who's a scientist and the alcoholic, coming on the same level and actually blaming each other for something, but you cannot put them on the same level. Where's the scientist and where's the alcoholic? Okay, maybe the alcoholic in his circle, he's somebody, but for that scientist, that alcoholic is nobody, right? And the same way goes maybe with alcoholic. Maybe for that alcoholic, the scientist is a nobody. But when it comes to voting, he's a somebody, and now you can blame here for his actions. Maybe the scientist was voting for the red party, and the drunk man was voting for the blue party. Now you have them saying like, what the fuck? And let's say the red party, right? And let's say the blue party won. Now you will have this alcoholic person going around like, what the fuck, bro? It's because of you this shit happens, blah 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 blah. And now to some degree they can blame each other, and they can blame each other because they're being on the same level, right? If they would not be on the same level, they would not even, if they would be blaming each other, nobody would listen, because he would be like, what the fuck, who even is you? Like, how the fuck I am even connected to you to even consider for me to stop for a few seconds to even hear what the fuck is you saying, you know, shit like that. But yeah, then you have like voting, then you have football players, and to some degree it's like and why is everything is being done? Because like you okay, you have a different type of circles, right? But you cannot just have people who are being tied together for let's say something happened, right? They came together, blah blah blah, that issue already disappeared. Now you have first year, second year, third year, fourth year, fifth year of nothing happening in the circle. And to some degree that circle, you know, it's like with stuff that you are like, for example, same as with language. If you're not using the language that you learned, you'll forget it with time. The same, I think, in this case is like with circles. If you're not acting, if there's no activity in that circle, the person will focus more on the other circle too, and it's like he will forget about that circle. And that's how those chains can get rusty with time and just break. So now even like people being in the same nation, if you'll not have some trigger points which will make them come together, those chains that connect them all in one nation will get rusty and break, and now you will have people just separating into different maybe tribes, into different families and stuff like that. How it was before, way before, when you didn't have a concept of religion, when you didn't have a concept of a nation, when you didn't have a concept of football teams, when you didn't have a concept of like different things. And maybe from the get-go they were coming together more based on the same goals that they have, you know. For example, okay, we have a goal to, okay, you have a family, let's say, because everything starts with a family. You have individuality, then you have a family, which connects you with your family, because to some degree you all, they gave you life, your parents gave you life, and to some degree they are hella close to your individuality. I mean, like one of the examples, because you have different families and different kids even hating their parents for the shit that they do, right? And then you have this kind of family coming together with other families because on some mutual interest some mutual goal that they all can go towards, because teamwork makes the dream work, right? You can be with your family and work on the land, but imagine if you will have 5 other families who also have the same goal of having food, shelter, comfort, and not being afraid of like bears and shit and wolves. Them all coming together, now you have more people who are participate in some shit. Now you have more food. You need more food, but now you'll have more food just in general. You will have enough of food for others, and you will have enough of food for you to just chill, because the less people, the more work you have to do if the goals are big, right? Now you have, let's say, then we continue to go. Now you have different people coming together because, let's say, they need food and shelter. Now you have different families coming together. Now you have the fathers going hunting. From different families you have fathers going hunting. Then you have from different mothers coming together and working on the fields, making food, cooking food, I don't know, shit like that, you know, building buildings. And now you have this little tribe, which little family, which was just one family, turning into a tribe, and that tribe turns into maybe a biggest place, and already everybody who comes in, they know that to some degree is their place because they invested into all this, that they have invested into all this, you know. But a lot of things, like for example nation, maybe now it's hella invested into, because we came that far, but from the get-go it was just a land and everybody could just live there, you know. And it's like, okay, your place is your place, but you cannot claim the whole land. You cannot claim the whole land. You can only claim what you have. Because, for example, how the fuck a person who lives on the most east point of the country will claim the most north part of the country or the most west part of the country? It's like he doesn't even do shit there. It's like he just sits at home. He goes out. Okay, he has a garden. That garden is enough. I don't know. Even this place. Let me show you. I cannot turn my phone. Okay, yeah. So I'm in the park, right? Let's say, you see how big this field is, right? I think it's enough for one family. Like even this biggest park is enough for one family to handle. It's enough. They don't even need any more place to go. They don't need any more place to consider, because they will not even have time for them to even to think about that. Somewhere in the most west part of the land, of the overall land, somebody came over and took that place, and he's not from the same tribe as we. Like, what the fuck? You'll not have time for even considering that point of view. But now at this point, it's like everybody considers every place, every state. Now you have different like historical problems, like, oh yeah, this few centimeters of land were ours back then, and it's like, what the fuck, give it back, shit like that. But that person will never do shit with that land. You're like, okay, even if that country would give that land back, the person still would not do shit, and that little place that was given back will just be there, you know. It will just rot, it will just be wasted. Nothing will be grown there, nothing will be used there, and shit like that. So yeah, so it's kind of crazy. But a very sad fact is that some trigger points, depending on how big a circle is, some trigger points have to actually make like a lot of sense, you know, have to be very effective. Some trigger points have to be very effective if you want a bigger circle to come together, you know, because like some parts, like, yeah, let's say some voting problems, blah blah blah, nobody will give a shit about. No, not everybody will give a shit about that, because some people are being invested into their own shit. But for example, when you have one country going into another country, now you have different circles being affected. You have different many circles being affected. So you have a circle of individuality which is being affected, like shelter, comfort, because somebody came over and you don't know if they will take your place or they will kick you out from that place. You don't know about that, so you're being in a worry. Then you have your family, you know, you're worrying about your family. Then you're worrying about different other aspects, and it's like you have different families who also are being targeted into those circles. And now they're like, bro, okay, the only way we can come together is because we live on the same country. And now you have different tribes, different families coming together into one big tribe for them to be tied in together, shit like that, right? But otherwise they would not even talk to each other. They would just do their shit, they would do their hobbies. For example, me, I woke up today, I drank tea, I watched some videos, I cleaned my room, I went to buy some shit, I went to the park, now I'm talking with you. Then later I will go home, eat maybe again something, watch something again, maybe draw something, do some hobbies and shit like that. And that's it. And it's like, I don't have, and even here, I mean, like, to some degree I have a lot of time, but I don't have time for me to invest into some bullshit, right? but when something will affect my inner circle, the circles of hell that are affecting me, maybe to some degree I'll consider me even paying attention to that, you know. So that's why you always need to have different trigger points triggering different type of circles, right? So for example, let's say in the nation, it could be, as one of the examples that I mentioned before, those trigger points, like big trigger points where people have to come together actually. But those trigger points where you already have kind of more Mars energy, I know, Mars, right? You have just turn M into a V. Yeah, turn M, Mars, into a V. Now you have these Mars problems. If they are big ones, yeah, they're triggering a lot. And I think it also depends on how active are the people in that circle. If they're not very active, you have to hit him hard, you know. You have to hit them hard so they'll come together, because to some degree maybe voting already will not make them come together, maybe even holidays will not come, maybe will not be able to make them come together, you know. Now you have to hit it more harder for it to actually shake that shit like that, you know. So it's like with earthquakes and shit too, you know. The bigger rock you will throw into the water, the more circles it will affect, that shit like that. Because today in the country I'm living in right now is called Poland, right? And today they had this one holiday, which is like the riot or like upstanding of the city against I think Nazis or something like that, right? Because back then this city was under some other nation, and the city was, and then at one point all people came together. They were like, nah, we are not fucking with it, we can get jiggy with this shit, you know. And they all came together and like, oh, they made an uprising and blah blah blah. It turned out to be positive, but it's like in the end effect you don't know if it's real or if it's not real. Like for example, now you have people, to one degree you'll have different countries hating each other, but to another degree they all can come together when the shit comes about money, you know. And it's like it's like hell funny, because I was talking today with my friend, and we were talking about religious aspects and shit like that, and I told him like to some degree how religion was taken over. They were taken over with innovations, you know. For example, because imagine you're coming into a country and like how you can make all those people who already have their hell of circles that they're tied to, and they don't even want to pay attention to your bullshit that you're coming with, like blah blah blah, there's a god who's the same as yours, let's pray to our god, blah blah blah, let's can you, because that's how like Rome emperors, not emperors but like popes and shit, they were going to different countries, and like they were coming to a country and they were saying like, oh look, we have different innovations, but to some degree you have to also be under our system, under our law, which makes you kind of turn into a Christian, shit like that, right? So to some degree they came with innovations. Back then it was like maybe writing, because people were mostly, nobody wrote books, you know. Let's say in the Slavic country nobody wrote books, and that's why when a more advanced to some degree culture, which was Rome and Pope and shit like that, came over, or England maybe came over to Slavic nations, they were like, okay, look, we write books, now you can read, now you can write down different stories. Then they had different innovations, maybe they had also money back then, I'm not sure, and they came in with that innovations, and they were like shit, and and the Slavic people, they were like, oh damn, new innovations, right, and shit like that, so they took it in. So for example, even now, as I was talking before about the conversation that I had with a friend about religion, it's like you have hella religious countries, right? You have hella religious countries. Like one of the example could be Arabic Emirates, right? So you have like Dubai, Abu Dhabi and shit like that, hella rich countries, right? And they were they are hella religious, right? They have sultans and shit like that. To some degree, before you're not able to walk around not covered if you're a woman, you were not able to drink alcohol. But now at this point where, you know, money rules the world, but now at this point a bigger circle which is called money or the system, I don't know, even makes that hella religious country to go under that shit and be like, yeah, okay, people with money can actually buy alcohol there, you can be naked on the beach, nobody gives a shit. If you have money, you have money, you can do anything what you want. So yeah, to some degree there's also a bigger circle, a more effective circle taking over a less effective circle, right? So that's how life goes. And I don't know what I stopped on, but I think it's low-key kind of everything what I want to mention. But like in the summary, I would say that to some degree just pay attention to the circles that you're investing yourself into, and just don't jump into different triggering points just because to some degree a circle that affects your family, which is a closer circle to you, has to also affect you to some degree, you know, shit like that. If it affects your father, it affects your father. You don't have to give a shit about that, even though if he's your family member. You have to take in consideration the circles that you actually are beneficial to you. You don't have to just tie yourself into any shit of circle, you know. That's why to some degree the craziest part is like okay, you have something happening in a country like the Mars energy, right? The Mars energy happening in the circle, and it's like now you have a person, let's say a father, who is a male of that family, who is the breadwinner. Now he has to go and protect not only his family but other families, because to some degree that shit will affect his family, but his family lives so fucking far away that it will never affect his family. But to some degree he's like, yeah, to some degree it will affect my family because it affects one of my other circles, then I have to stand up and go and protect that fucking country, you know. But then he will die and nobody will protect his family. That's it for his family. Nobody will protect his family. His wife will be fucking with some his wife will be hella vulnerable. His wife will have no money for her to live, to support her kids and shit like that. Now she will be hella broke. Now she has to suffer. Now she has to find another man because she cannot handle being a mother, and she cannot handle being a worker at the same time, and also having these periods and shit like that, and being all in this situation, being a father and mother of her kids, being a breadwinner for her family. That's crazy, you know. That's why but you have a father who was like, yeah, a lot of also masculine shit affects that too. Like, oh, masculinity too is one of the circles, because for example, it's not masculinity is not something that you have to be like, yeah, I'm the man, I have to do what other men do. No, you're the man because you depending on the situation, depending on the circle that you have, you can make sense of it, and you understand what will be the most beneficial for this situation, to the outcome for this situation, you know. For example, in this situation with Mars energies, where somebody affects another thingy, the most maybe logical situation, I mean, like one of the examples, the most maybe logical situation would be you just taking hold of your family, you actually sitting next to your wife and your kids, and maybe having a gun. I'm not against it. Having like a biggest fucking, not even 30 clip, I would say a whole goddamn round of bullets and shit like that, and standing next to your wife and be like, okay, if somebody will actually knock on our door and start to approach us, I will blow his fucking brains out, right? But no, he decided to go from the most west point of his country to the most east point of his country for him to protect his family, which at this point didn't even affect his family. But now the family lost a breadwinner. Now the family actually suffers, actually, like that. Now his mother will find different circles. Now his mother will find different a different husband, because she actually needs a man, she needs a dick to some degree, she needs a father for her kids, and she needs a breadwinner, right? So it's already, yeah, fuck that nigga who died there. It's already, there's already another circle which is being affected, you know. And that father who went to protect his family. He didn't actually protect his family. He just went there because of his some ego shit or some blah 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 of him being lost into some circle of hell, right? And also like one point that I wanted to mention, so then you have this wife being alone and shit like that, but her husband went there to actually protect his family, right? But when everything will settle down, this shit that he went to protect his nation, right? He went to protect his whole land, right? For invaders not to get to his family. So he went to protect land which surrounds his family, for invaders not to get closer to his family, right? Because because here you have close, you have you, then you have your family, a circle which is closer to you, then you have a nation which is also a circle that surrounds your family circle. And you were like, okay, I have to protect this circle which is wider, therefore they will not affect it that close. They will not affect my family that close. But between the nation and your family, there's also different circles. And it's like when everything will settle down, this husband will be dead, this wife will be alive, she will not have a husband, she will have 3 kids that she has to take care of. But when everything settles down, people will forget about that. People will forget that there's also a wife that we have to, that was also in our soul, that was also together with us, tied together with us in the same circle of hell, which is nation. When everything will settle down, people will care more about their families and their financial situations, not about some other bitch who somehow was also with us, but in this case is like a dog eat dog world. Actually, dog eat dog world, like as Dolo said, because it's like, it's crazy. It's like to some degree, you know why I don't fuck with that? Because to some degree it's like you just write dicks. You actually is a bitch. You write that dick, then you write this dick, then you write that dick. You don't even you it's like you know, okay, who is not a bitch? A bitch is not a girl who I know, I hope you can make sense of it. A bitch is a girl who writes bunch of different dicks, you know, a hoe who fucks with everybody, but that girl who will be not under her man, but will stand behind her man and will be with her man all the time. That's some real shit, you know. That's why you always have to be with you and not lose yourself into some other's bullshit, into some other motherfucker's lostness. You don't have to lose your shit, because you will be a bitch. You'll write some other's dick to get something, but actually you lose yourself in the end, you know. So yeah, that's the summary, that's the moral of the story, that pay attention to the circles that you're tying yourself with. Sometimes you maybe have to act like a fool, but know what you are doing, even when you're acting a fool. Because, you know, when the whole shit comes together and you're just being a victim, blamed by association type shit like that, right? So, okay, if you are born in this country, you cannot actually go. When something happened to the country, you cannot go out and say like, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that. You can put all people in that perspective, but when everybody are being lost into that circle and you will go out and you will be like, I don't want to do this, motherfuckers, you're lost, blah blah blah, they will just kill you. They'll be like, oh, look at this, he's also a traitor, let's fucking kill him. Now you're losing yourself into some other shit. But sometimes you have to play a fool. Sometimes you have to be a man. If you're a man, you have to be a man. You have to, even like a woman, each person has like a masculine and a feminine energies in him. Feminine energies, which is more the vibey one, right? So for example, actually a circle of hell, like, yeah, we all have the same desires, we have all the same care, let's come together, let's connect together. And you have a man, where you have a situation being around you and you're cold-headed and you're making a logical sense out of it. And you're like, okay, in this situation it's better for me, even though I hate this circle so much, in this situation it's better for me not to be a bitch and not to go out and scream all this fucking trash bullshit, because I might get killed. So that's why maybe I can be a fool a little bit, but I know what I'm doing, and just to some degree maybe participate or act as I'm participating, not actually jump into that shit and not lose myself, but act like I'm losing myself and not get killed to some degree, So that's it. That's like the whole story. I feel like to some degrees it was sometimes maybe too much, but I hope I made something clear, a very important point which will make this world to some degree better.